Have you ever watched a talent show audition where a contestant is genuinely shocked they didn't get a golden ticket? Or been stuck at a family dinner where a relative lectures everyone on a complex topic, getting all the facts spectacularly wrong, but with unshakable confidence? What's up, everyone? You're watching Learning Psychology. And today we're going to talk about this phenomenon where people who are the least competent at a task are the most likely to overestimate their ability. Yes, you heard it right. It's a well-documented psychological principle called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. And the uncomfortable truth is, it doesn't just apply to other people. It applies to all of us. The story begins in 1999. Professor of social psychology at Cornell University, David Dunning was intrigued by the famous robbery of two Greater Pittsburgh banks. On January 6, 1995, MacArthur Wheeler and Clifton Earl Johnson robbed two Greater Pittsburgh banks at gunpoint without attempts to disguise themselves. Instead, they had covered their faces in lemon juice, believing it would make them invisible to security cameras. Johnson was arrested a few days later, while Wheeler was apprehended in April after being identified in surveillance photographs. Both received multi-year jail sentences. So Dunning, along with his graduate student Justin Kruger, organized a research program to determine whether someone's perceived competence could be measured against their actual competence. They found that when people are incompetent in the strategies they adopt to achieve success and satisfaction, they suffer a dual burden. Not only do they reach erroneous conclusions and make unfortunate choices, but their incompetence robs them of the ability to realize it. So like Mr. Wheeler, they are left with the mistaken impression that they are doing just fine. This became known as the Dunning-Kruger Effect. They authored the 1999 paper, Unskilled and Unaware of It: How Difficulties in Recognizing One's Own Incompetence Lead to Inflated Self-Assessments. They conducted a series of studies. They quizzed undergraduate students on grammar, logic, and even humor. Afterward, they asked the students to estimate how well they did. The results were striking. The students who performed the worst, like those in the bottom 25%, didn't just think they did okay. They dramatically overestimated their performance, believing they were above average. For instance, participants who actually scored in the 12th percentile, on average, rated themselves to be in the 62nd percentile. But here's the twist. The top performers, the true experts in the group, tended to do the opposite. They slightly underestimated their own abilities. So what's going on here? Why do the unskilled overestimate themselves, while the skilled underestimate? The answer lies in a concept psychologists call metacognition. Metacognition is your ability to step back and look at your own thought processes from the outside. It's the self-awareness that allows you to judge your own performance accurately. Dunning and Kruger argued that incompetent people suffer from a dual burden or a double curse. First, they lack the knowledge to perform well. And second, that very same lack of knowledge prevents them from being able to spot their own errors or to recognize what genuine expertise looks like. The skills you need to be good at something are the very same skills you need to realize you're not good at it. It's a classic catch-22. This journey of learning is sometimes visualized with a famous graph. When you first learn a little about a subject, your confidence can shoot up. You don't know what you don't know. This peak is sometimes jokingly called Mount Stupid. As you learn more, you begin to realize the complexity and nuance of the topic. You see how much there is to learn, and your confidence plummets into the valley of despair. Finally, as you continue to learn and practice, your confidence gradually and more realistically increases alongside your actual competence. Even though there is criticism about the authenticity of this graph, but still on the internet it is very popular. And what about the experts who underestimate themselves? Their problem is a different kind of cognitive bias. Because the task is easy for them, they mistakenly assume it must be easy for everyone else too. They project their own competence onto others, leading them to underestimate how unique their skill level is. You can see the Dunning-Kruger effect everywhere. For example, on the road, inexperienced drivers often overestimate their abilities, taking risks that a more seasoned driver would avoid. In the workplace, an employee might believe they're a top performer, making them resistant to crucial feedback and training, while in reality their performance is lacking. In health, people with low health literacy are more likely to rate themselves as knowledgeable, which can lead to risky behaviors because they don't understand their own lack of medical knowledge. On social media, it's a breeding ground for the effect, where people with minimal knowledge of politics, science, or economics confidently declare their opinions as facts, unable to recognize the gaps in their own understanding. Now it's crucial to clear up a common misunderstanding. The Dunning-Kruger effect is not about a person's general intelligence or IQ. A brilliant physicist can experience the Dunning-Kruger effect when they try to fix their own plumbing. It's domain-specific. We all have blind spots and areas of incompetence where this bias can take hold. It's also worth noting that some researchers have questioned question the original findings, suggesting the effect might be, at least in part, a statistical artifact of how the data is analyzed. However, the core idea that we often struggle to accurately assess our own limitations remains a powerful insight into human psychology. So if we're all susceptible to this, how do we escape the trap? How do we get off Mount Stupid? The good news is the effect is not permanent. Here are 3 powerful strategies. 1. Keep learning. Dunning and Kruger found that as the incompetent participants were trained in the skills they lacked, they not only improved, but also became better at assessing their own ability. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to know. 2. Seek and embrace feedback. Don't just wait for your annual review. Actively ask trusted colleagues, mentors, or friends for constructive criticism. Ask them, how could I have done this better? And be prepared to listen without getting defensive. Resisting feedback is a hallmark of the Dunning-Kruger effect. 3. Question yourself. Be your own devil's advocate. Challenge your assumptions. Ask yourself, how do I know this is true? Or what if I'm wrong? A quality of true intelligence is having the awareness to know what you don't know. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't a label for fools. It's a fundamental part of the human condition. It reveals that confidence is often a poor substitute for knowledge. The goal isn't to be racked with self-doubt, but to cultivate intellectual humility. It's about having the confidence to act, but the wisdom to know that no matter how much we know, there is always more to learn. And that journey of discovery is what makes life truly interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Your little support on Patreon can really help me produce more amazing content. Until next video, keep learning.